The 5.5-inch budget phablet segment is a very crowded one. Every player coming into the game is trying to stick their neck out in something unique that they would want to propose. And today we're going to look at the Infocus M680. This is GK from TechPP.com, and this is our detailed review of the Infocus M680. So what is the first unique thing that you would notice about this phone? It is the build. There's a lot of metallic elements. So when you look around the phone, it has the rose gold color that we have here. It has a metallic frame that goes all around it. Has slight curves on the edges that allow for easy placement into your palms. And the buttons that we have here, there's a volume rocker on to the right. There's also a SIM tray that can take in dual SIM. And we have the antenna band, the 3.5mm jack, and we have the volume rockers. So these buttons give you very good tactile feedback and are not noisy. Usually what happens is the buttons make some kind of a clicky noise that feels so cheap. Not the case here. And on the bottom, we have the speaker grill and the USB port, and this supports OTG, so that's a good thing. And on the front, we have the capacitive buttons that are not backlit. We've seen that in budget phones. And on the back, we have the 13 megapixel camera with LED flash. And on the front, we have a couple of sensors and also a 13 megapixel camera. Yes, so the front and back have the same 13 megapixel camera here. The one disadvantage with the placement of the loudspeaker here is usually when you tend to game, you'll end up blocking it completely. So more on this when we come to gaming, but that's a worthy mention here. This phone is rocking a MediaTek 6753 octa-core processor, and it's also accompanied by 2 gigs of RAM and 16 gigs of internal memory, and around 10 to 11 GB of the space is available for the user, and the internal memory can be bumped up to 64 GB. And all of this is powered by 2600 mAh battery. So in terms of the thickness, it comes at 7.3 mm and weighs a good 160 grams. So it's not too heavy, not too light, somewhere in between. And overall, there is a lot of thought that has gone into the design element. One thing that is again worthy of mention here is we have the phone, the back part of the phone is in 3 segments, and when you just swipe your fingers, you'll realize that all the 3 are not in the same plane. So it's not a very well finished phone. Nothing too major about it, but still you see where they've cut the corners. So the M680 is rocking a 5.5-inch Full HD screen that packs in as much as 401 ppi, and the OS that comes with this is the in-life OS. Has a lot of vibrant icons like you can see, and that pops out of the Full HD screen. Overall, the performance is really snappy. There are transitions, but they're very fast, and they're not sloppy at all like we've seen that in other phones. So this OS comes with a lot of preloaded apps. There is the mobile assistant, there are a lot of games that come with the phone, and thankfully you can uninstall the ones that you don't want. So this OS has the Android 5.1 out of the box. So that's what we have here. It tries to mimic the stock Android features. And here in the app drawer, we have a lot of options. You can sort the applications according to the frequency, the alphabet, or the user defined, where you can place the icons according to your liking. There's also an option to search for the applications. That's also very handy. And we also have the toggle menu here that you can also edit and replace the options that you want. So we've seen this in some of the phones, and this can come in really handy. So that is another cool feature that we have here. So overall, those are the tiny little customizations that you have, and there's also options to change the widget and arrange the applications on your home screen, and the task manager where you can see how much of applications are being used in the RAM management, and you can go about clearing them. So that's how the in-life OS is. Pretty neat, pretty good, pretty snappy, and no sign of lags whatsoever. In terms of the Antutu benchmark, this scored around 37,000 70. So we feel this is a decent score, not really great, but it's a decent score for the processor and the RAM that it holds. So how does it do in gaming? Well, this has got just 2 GB of RAM, and that is where the lack of ability shows up. Overall, the gaming was quite okay, with occasional stutters and lags, but not too many of them. But they do occur on a periodic basis, but not so much that it's going to irritate you. But do expect that. Again, like I mentioned before, the loudspeaker is good, but it's just one loudspeaker that we have here, and more often than not, you're bound to just block the loudspeaker when you're holding it that way. You'll probably have to consciously move the phone the other way around, um, but it again depends. If you're plugged in with your earphones and things like that, you might find it uncomfortable, so you'll have to make some adjustments there, or free up your fingers on the other side. So overall, that is what it is about gaming. So does this phone heat up? Well, like I mentioned, there are stutters that occur periodically, and that is where we see Infocus is trying to make some throttling with the processor, and we observe some heating in the middle portion of the back region, but it's not so much that you would want to drop the phone off. So it's not overheating, but it does get uncomfortably warm. So that is about gaming. One aspect about gaming is the battery drain when you're gaming is very high. So it also gave us an alert with just 6 to 8 minutes of gaming. It said that the app is causing high power consumption. So that is one thing that you will have to be wary of. And speaking of the battery, we managed to get around 4 hours of screen on time on moderate usage. But when we are gaming, it just dropped down to somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.5 to 3 hours. And let me show you how the battery drain happens. So it's literally following that line over there, and that's how fast it drains. So do not expect really high battery backup if you're gaming and you're into multimedia, but it's just decent enough. 4 hours of screen on time for moderate usage, even on 4G LTE. So that's what it is on the battery. So the M680 is primarily focusing on the camera aspects. How does it perform? Well, we were very impressed. So the camera module is a 13 megapixel on the front and 13 megapixel on the back. The focusing is really fast, and it's really very quick in processing as well. In terms of the options, it's got a decent enough app here, but one disadvantage here is that the option for the video and clicking the pictures are so close to each other, you might accidentally end up tapping the video. So once you get used to it, you might not do it, but initially at least you'll have that tendency to accidentally tap on this video icon. So it has a lot of modes here: the live photo mode, the motion track mode, panorama, face beauty mode, and multi-angle view and all that. So that comes in really handy. And we also have the HDR mode here, and option to toggle between the flash and the front facing camera. So overall, the camera did decently well. The strength of the camera is retaining the sharpness and the dynamic range. It did very well. We'll splash some of the pictures for you to see. So if you see this one, this was in, again, darkness. Even if I were to zoom, you can see how sharp the outlines here are, and it's handling the exposure really good. This is without the flash, and this is with the flash. So overall, it has its strength in good daylight pictures, the macros. In the indoors, it does do well, but upon complete zooming, you'll see there's tiny bit of noise. But then in real low light conditions, there's enough noise. But overall, it's a decent camera for the price range that it comes at. So summarizing it, what is the M680 good at? The design. There's a lot of thought that has gone into the design. and the camera is very impressive. The front and the back camera both are very good for the price range. The UI performance is really smooth. You would just love it. The icons are vibrant, but again professional enough in their design. And it has options like OTG, and there are constant updates that come in. We saw one that has come in, so this tells us that Infocus is not just dumping in something. They're constantly working on fixing the software issues. So there was one issue that we faced when we were on the move. There was a signal drop and the phone used to reboot on its own, and with the software update coming in, that got resolved. So that is one of the key aspects there. And what is bad? Well, the battery. We only wish that this came with a bigger battery, because usually with the phablet, what happens is your multimedia consumption tends to be more the gaming, the video watching, and things like that. So the battery performance could be a concern for some, but on moderate usage could just get you through the day. And in terms of gaming, we saw some issues and also heating to a considerable amount in the back portion of the phone. And other tiny nitpicks like the speaker positioning, the buttons not being backlit, and so on. So this phone comes at 10,999, and when we think of the competition, we simply cannot forget the CoolPad Note 3 that is priced much lesser, and it has a lot of software options. The battery performance is commendable, and the camera as well is very good. One other option that you can also think of is the Redmi Note Prime, which we are yet to test out, but it is very similar to the Redmi Note 4G, and we saw how good it is in terms of battery performance and in terms of the pictures that it clicked. So do make those considerations as you buy this phone. So if you're looking for a 5.5-inch phablet with a very decent amount of metal in its build, with a very good camera performance and UI performance, and okay to live with the mediocre performance on the battery, then Infocus M680 is certainly one of the good considerations that you may have. So do hit the like button and subscribe for more interesting updates on the gadget world. Until the next one, this is JK from TechPP.com signing off. Bye-bye.